Welcome to the Week in Review, the show that brings you up to date on the week that was. Here are the top stories. Telecom spectrum could get very expensive. Standard & Poor's cuts India's outlook. And weather officials forecast a normal monsoon this year. First up, India's telecom industry faces a potential crisis over spectrum. On Monday, telecom regulator TRAI proposed new rules and prices for spectrum auctions. It recommended auctioning 5 MHz in the 1800 MHz band. TRAI suggested a base price of 3,622 crores for every megahertz. That would mean a total reserve price of more than 18,000 crores. But that's not all. TRAI has also recommended prices for the other spectrum bands. For the 800-900 MHz, it has proposed a base price of 7,244 crores per megahertz. And for the 700 MHz space, the base price for every megahertz is 14,489 crores. The 700 MHz band is used for 4G services. Telecom firms have already complained that the prices for spectrum have been set far too high. TRAI's new proposals come after the Supreme Court cancelled 122 telecom licenses and told authorities to auction the spectrum that would be freed up. But the new proposals could make it next to impossible for the affected operators to regain enough spectrum. TRAI has called for each chunk of 5 MHz to be auctioned in blocks of 1.25, but telcos need at least 5 MHz if they want to start full telephony services. Meanwhile, in a separate development, authorities may have to complete their auction for 2G spectrum much earlier than anticipated. On Tuesday, the Supreme Court gave the government another 3 months to auction the freed-up spectrum. The court has rejected a plea from the Department of Telecommunications asking for 400 days. Moving to other news, India has got a downgrade during the week with a major ratings agency cutting its outlook for the country. On Wednesday, Standard & Poor's slashed India's outlook to negative from the earlier stable. On the bright side, it kept the country's long-term sovereign rating of BBB-. But S&P also warned that a further downgrade was possible in the next 3 years. That move would bring India into the junk category. S&P said its move was prompted by India's fiscal challenges as well as slow growth abroad. The country's fiscal deficit for 2011-12 is estimated to have been 5.9% of GDP. The target for this year is 5.1%. The cut in the outlook could also weaken the rupee and make overseas loans more expensive for Indian companies. And switching to corporate news, it was a big week for the IT sector with two giants of the industry reporting their earnings. First, on Monday, India's biggest software company, Tata Consultancy Services, posted quarterly numbers in line with market estimates. Net profit for the fourth quarter rose 22.6% to 2,932 crores, and revenues increased 30.5% to 13,259. The rise in revenues is a milestone because TCS is now the first Indian IT firm with quarterly revenues greater than $10 billion. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, the country's third biggest IT firm Wipro reported a muted results and issued a cautious guidance. Net profit for the fourth quarter rose 7.7% to 1,481 crores, and total income climbed 18.84% to 9,836. Meanwhile, the firm's main IT business grew 2% quarter-on-quarter to $1.54 billion. Wipro's guidance for the current quarter is also modest. It has issued a range of $1.52 to $1.55 billion for the 3 months to June. Moving to banking, a new government decision could encourage investors to open more banks in India. On Thursday, the cabinet gave the green light to a proposal to increase the voting rights of shareholders in private banks. The proposal would increase the cap from the current 10% to 26%. The approved changes will be part of the Banking Laws Amendment Bill. Staying with the industry, ICICI Bank beat street estimates. Fourth quarter net profit rose 31% to 1,902 crores. That robust increase was fueled by a 36% increase in other income to 2,228 crores. Other income includes fees and treasury gains, but the bank's core indicators also did well. Net interest income rose 24% to 3,105 crores, while the net interest margin climbed to 3.01% from 2.74% in the year-ago period. And here are some stories in brief. Civil Aviation Minister Ajit Singh says his ministry is considering so-called public-private partnerships or PPPs in airport development. The PPPs will be applicable to 35 non-metro airports and a few big ones. While some airports already use private operators, there's been opposition from the staff at Airports Authority of India. Delhi's airport will soon be the most expensive in the world. Regulator AERA has approved an average 345% increase in charges at the airport. The hike is much lower than the 744% increase that airport operator DIAL was demanding. DIAL says it's losing 2 crores every day because of the current fee structure. And finally, there's one spot of good news for the economy. The Indian Meteorological Department believes we are likely to see a normal monsoon this year. On Thursday, Science Minister Vilasrao Deshmukh said rainfall in the June to September period would be at 99% of the 50-year average. The annual monsoons account for about 80% of total rain in India every year. And that's all we have for you. Thanks for watching.